96.7 KCAL rocks. It is that time on a Monday to talk some sports with our guy, Pep. Pep, what's going on?
Yo, Patrick, let's do this, man. Let's talk some wall-to-wall baseball. We had a big series over the weekend for the Dodgers and the Angels. Major League Baseball races are heating up as we get closer to the All-Star break. And I'll start with the Dodgers. Listen, every time they play the Houston Astros, there's always something bitter about it, right? Like, it's Houston, it's the Dodgers. They still hold on to that grudge about cheating. So every time they play Houston, there's always that extra bit of motivation to beat the Astros, even though a lot of those old players are gone. I know Altuve's still there, but a lot of the old players on Houston are gone. They have a new manager, the pride of Riverside, Dusty Baker, but it's still the Houston Astros, and they really, really want to beat them. Unfortunately, on Sunday at least, it took extra innings, but the Astros beat the Dodgers by a score of 6-5. In that game, though, Patrick, Freddie Freeman collected his 2,000th hit in his Major League Baseball career. That's a big deal.
Absolutely, man. That is a ton of hits, but he works really hard. Believe it or not, the YouTube, he's kind of a YouTube guy. A lot of the kids like to watch the stuff he does. Hitting off the tee, for example, my kid likes to do because of Freddie Freeman.
Yeah, he's a hit machine. When you look at Freddie Freeman's game, and I'm not going to nerd out too hard, he's not your typical power hitting first baseman. He's not going to hit you 40 or 50 bombs, but he's going to lead the league in doubles, and he might lead the league in hits, and he's going to hit around 320 or 330 every single season. The guy can just flat out hit. So he actually, if he stays healthy, he could get to 3,000 in his career, which is really that, I guess you'd call it the Hall of Fame benchmark. If you get to 3,000 hits, you're a surefire Hall of Famer. So he's already at 2,000, and I think he's 33 years old, so he's well on his way right now.
Yeah, he's almost got a little Tony Gwynn in him in terms of watching tape and going over his swing and stuff like that. So I could easily see him getting 3,000.
Yeah, and that's a exclusive company. So Major League Baseball players with 2,000 hits, there's only 295 of them all time. So there's really not that many. But when you talk about 3,000, there's only 33 guys with 3,000 hits. I mean, there's a big jump from 2,000 to 3,000. Not a lot of guys to get that point, but Freddie Freeman's on his way.
Right.
So the Dodgers right now, though, they just need wins any way they can get them. They lose to Houston. Right now they're in third place in the National League West, if you've been keeping up with it. The Arizona Diamondbacks, from out of nowhere, they're the number one team right now in the National League West. The Giants, who just recently got hot, they're in second place. So all of a sudden, the Dodgers are barely holding on to a wild card spot right now as they look up at the Diamondbacks and the Giants in the National League West. It's kind of weird right now because we all thought the Padres would be the team to beat in the National League West. So far, it's not panning out that way.
If they bounce back and start playing, of course, their best baseball towards the end of the season, if, baseball's such a long season, you and I know if you are going to play bad, now is the time to kind of play bad. Of course, you don't want to lose too much ground. But if they can come out of this slump and start going, the Dodgers have that quality to them. Maybe they can kind of get this junk out of their system and then go for the playoffs, right?
Yeah. I mean, teams get streaky, right? It's a long season, 162 regular season games. There's ebbs and flows, and we've talked about this before. If you just get hot at the right time, if you get hot in September, you don't have to be the number one seed going into the playoffs, but if you're the hottest team, you're playing the best baseball, you can have a real shot to make it to the World Series. So for the Dodgers, I would think if I'm a Dodgers fan, which I'm not, but if I was a Dodgers fan, it's just stay in a playoff spot, even that fifth or sixth wild card spot. You feel like there's enough talent on this team, enough veteran guys, that anything can happen. These guys can make it all the way to the World Series.
Right. Hopefully they can just stay in it. I remember the old manager Lou Piniella used to say, you can't win it right now, but you could lose it.
Yeah, that's right, man. Old sweet Lou, man. Missed that guy, Lou Piniella, man. He was fiery. And speaking of the Dodgers, when you talk about help is on the way, help is on the way. If you're a fan of the Dodgers and the Rancho Cucamonga Quakes, you already know this. On Sunday afternoon, Julio Urias, the starting pitcher for the Dodgers, made a rehab assignment. Looked pretty good. Went 4 innings. He threw 60 pitches. That's what the count was going into the game. Let him throw 60. He struck out 8. He did give up 1 run, but he looked pretty sharp as he battles back from a hamstring injury. So for the Dodgers, looking for extra pitching. It's on its way. Julio Urias lighting him up yesterday at Rancho Cucamonga.
Yeah, and I mean, a young arm, and it's pretty cool to see him. We've gotten to watch him grow. I mean, we remember the young kid when he took the mound, and now he's matured and he's become a really great pitcher. And obviously, it's always awesome when we get to see him in our backyard.
Yeah, I mean, he came up, through the system. He was a Quake not too long ago, made it to the big leagues, obviously found stardom in the majors, and made a good rehab assignment. So if the Dodgers can get healthy, they've got enough pitching and obviously enough veteran players in the batting order as well to score some runs. So I think they're okay, but right now if you look at the National League West, you just kind of scratch your head. You're like, Arizona, San Francisco, and then the Dodgers, and then the Padres? What's going on? So it's just weird.
Baseball.
All right, let's talk some American League Baseball. Let's talk about the Halos as well. Patrick, you must have seen this. You're a Mariners fan, so you're stuck in the AL West with the Halos here. But the Halos beating the Colorado Rockies on Saturday by a final score of 25-1. But Patrick, they did most of their offensive damage in the first 4 innings. The third and fourth inning, they were already up 23-0 after the 4 innings. I've watched baseball for a long time. That was bizarre.
I mean, there's several things, right? If you didn't notice, if you've been watching any college baseball, there was a college game where it was like home run fest like this too. Some of it, of course, people are saying the ball is juice, stuff like that. A lot of it, I think, is there's a lot more swinging for the home run now and launch angle and all that stuff. Let's not forget, at least in the Angels game, it's the thin air of Coors Field. So it's going to travel. You get some good wood on that, it's going to carry out what probably would land in the warning track at Anaheim, definitely in Seattle, is going to carry over the fence in Coors Field. And man, did the Angels do it.
Yeah, if you would have told me, without telling me the teams involved, if you would have just told me, hey, there was a baseball team today in the majors that scored 23 runs by the end of the 4th inning, where do you think this game took place? My first guess would have been Colorado. So exactly, they score a lot of runs. They hit a lot of home runs up there in the Mile High City. And the Angels, maybe that's something they needed to kind of jumpstart their season right now. They're talking about maybe this is the year they finally make the playoffs. Right now, if you look at the wild card standings, I think they're only a game out of that final wild card spot. So Patrick, this could be the season. They could be back in the playoffs.
Come on, don't tease the fans, right? They got to do it. They have so much talent, but it's just weird how we go through it every year for the Angel fan. I mean, trust me, I know a similar feeling, but God, they're loaded with talent. Yeah. You got to think at some time it's going to work.
Yeah, and right now, injuries are kind of their own worst enemy. They got some key guys, especially in the infield, that are injured and out right now. In fact, they made a move and got Mike Moustakas, Moose, in a trade to come over and maybe play first or maybe a little bit at third. Anthony Rendon for the Angels, who they paid all that money to, hasn't really done anything. So Moustakas is going to come in and hopefully, maybe bring some veteran leadership, some offensive power to the lineup. So I think correct me if I'm wrong, Patrick, but I feel like they're trying to make some moves to make a legitimate run with Shohei Ohtani in his contract year to prove to him, right? Hey, we're for real. We want to win with you here. We're going to do what it takes to make a playoff winner here in Anaheim. So that's why you need to re-sign with the Angels.
Was just thinking of that exact same thing. They need to go into the playoffs or they're going to lose Ohtani, basically.
Yeah, they will. They got to prove to him. I mean, listen, he's going to get paid anywhere, whether he's on a first-place team or a last-place team. He's going to get paid, but it'll make his decision a lot easier if he knows the Angels are committed to winning. And right now, if they make more moves like this before the trade deadline, bringing in Mike Moustakas and whoever else, they're going to prove that, hey, we want to win, and we want to win right now, especially with Mike Trout and Ohtani definitely in their prime.
Quick sidebar on Ohtani. If you watched the game last night on the highlights, he was throwing a really fastball inside. And I mean, he cranked it and turned on it and almost hit the foul pole. And I mean, you could read the pitcher's lips. I mean, even on ESPN, they put it like, how the bleep did he do that? You know what I mean? It was kind of really cool. That's how great of a hitter he is.
Yeah, not a lot of guys can do what Ohtani does. So, a pitch might work on most batters, but it's not going to work on Ohtani.
It was like 99 miles per hour in tight, and he just turned and ripped it out of the stadium almost. And the pitcher was just like, it was very Bull Durham. It's like he knew what I was going to throw.
He's that good, right? He is that good, and that's why even if you're not an Angels fan, he is worth watching because he is a very special player.
And then when is the All-Star game? Are we coming up on the All-Star game there, Pat?
Yeah, we're coming up in about, 2 weeks maybe, I'd say? Like maybe 2.5 weeks at the most. Yeah, up in Seattle. So we're hopefully a lot of our guys, I'm talking about our guys. I'm talking about Freddie Freeman, Mike Trout, Mookie Betts, those guys. We'll see them up there in Seattle in the Major League Baseball All-Star Game, which is kind of the time where you kind of step back and you're like, hey, is my team a contender or a pretender? Are they serious about the playoffs, or are they just kind of fading off in the distance? That's kind of the barometers when we hit the Major League Baseball All-Star break.
Yeah, we will know more as we get closer. We will recheck in with Pep on your Thursday. Pep, tell me how to get your stuff.
Get my stuff always on Inland Sports, Instagram, Twitter. We go hard on the IG and Twitter. We also got an Inland Sports YouTube channel. You can also subscribe to that. That is Inland Sports.
Thanks, Pep.